We learned a lot from South Carolina versus UConn. We're going to talk about what it means, not just for these two teams, but what it means for college basketball for the rest of the season. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
Ogunbowale for the win. Good!
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Magdahl, welcoming you to our 6 days a week home for all things women's basketball. Monday through Friday, we talk everything. Saturday, our WNBA draft show. Make sure you are subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you are also subscribing to The Next, where we cover women's basketball 24/7, 365. On leap years, it's 24/7, 366. TheNextHoops.com, $9 a month, $72 a year. So we're going to break it down here. In segment one, we're going to talk about what we learned from UConn's perspective about their 81-77 loss to South Carolina. I was in the building on Sunday afternoon, got to talk to Gina Auriemma about it, Aaliyah Edwards about it as well. Also talked to Dawn Staley and Aaliyah Boston. In segment two, we're going to break that down for you. What did we learn about the Gamecocks? Undefeated, but they were challenged. And then segment three, going to hear a little bit about what it means for the two of them and the pecking order for the rest of the season. This is brought to you by Prize Picks. We'll talk about Prize Picks a little bit later on. Very interesting product. Also going to talk to you about Built Bar, which I always love to do. But where I want to start with us is Aaliyah Edwards. And it's going to be weird when I say this, but this game Sunday made me think of Bree Jones. Let me tell you why I say that. December 2015, somehow almost 8 years ago, feels like yesterday. Maryland, UConn, Madison Square Garden. The Breanna Stewart era. Breanna Stewart dominated both ends. Wonder whatever happened to her. She's playing against a center on Maryland named Bree Jones. I've talked to a lot of people in front offices at that time. Not a lot of buzz about Bree Jones. Well, she goes out there in a game Maryland was real competitive in. That was probably the closest in that 2015-2016 year anybody got to beat in UConn. Bree Jones went 9 for 11 from the field that night. Breanna Stewart was guarding her all night. 9 for 11. So I come out of that saying, all right, UConn dominant every bit as great as we thought. I wrote about Moriah Jefferson out of that one. Still often think about what Moriah Jefferson's career would be in the WNBA had she had healthy knees. Still a very solid career, but it would have been a star, a real star. I digress. Bree Jones, she's going to make it. She's going to be an important WNBA contributor. That's my big takeaway from that night. Turned out very much to be accurate. Aaliyah Edwards going up against a front line in South Carolina. Look, Aaliyah Boston gets a lot of the attention. She'll be the number one overall pick in the 2023 WNBA draft unless the earth crashes into the sun. Even then, probably the number one pick. But that front line is full of future WNBA players. Camila Cardozo at 17, clearly going to be a WNBA player. Spoke to multiple talent evaluators who love her after that game. Victoria Saxton, absolutely going to be a WNBA player. You just go up and down that roster, and the bigs are just overwhelming. And so for Aaliyah Edwards against Aaliyah Boston to go out there and score 25 points in 28 minutes on 10 of 14 shooting. So it's not just the production, but it's the efficiency. That told me, come 2024, we're going to be talking about Paige Bueckers, assuming she's healthy, Caitlin Clark for sure, Cameron Brink for sure. There's a lot of talent in that 2024 draft. Aaliyah Edwards is going to be in that conversation in the lottery. So I asked Aaliyah about it. I asked Gino about where she is at this point. Let's hear from both of them. I'm Howard Magdahl, and this is Locked On Women's Basketball.
One for Lou, one for Aaliyah, if I could. Lou, just, you've talked about games like this being part of what brought you here. How did the experience of this and of Tennessee compare just emotionally to what you envisioned when you arrived?
It's a great atmosphere, great experience. For my case, it's one of just one and then I'm done. I don't have any more games next year like that. So really, I tried to take it all in and enjoy with all my teammates, and just enjoy every moment on the court. And those close games are the most exciting ones. And I think that it means a lot to be able to share with all my teammates and this whole crowd.
Thanks. And Aaliyah, for you, to have 25 points on 14 shots against a roster that's stocked with, not just the presumptive number one pick in this year's draft, but several future pros. What does it tell you about where your finishing game is at the rim, and how do you account for it being as efficient as it is at this point in your career?
Yeah, it was a big game, top 5 matchup. I knew I had to step up. So just taking what the defense gave me, both of my teammates did well, finding me and getting me open. And if I wasn't hitting, then I knew Aubrey or Lou or any one of us would be able to get the job done. So we just really played to our strengths collectively, and I think that we really toughed it out. We gave us a chance to win the game. Fortunately, we came up short, but as Lou said, it's just preparation, and we know we'll meet them again down the road.
Thank you, guys.
Where we are.
Howard and then Alexa.
Hey, Gino. For Aaliyah Edwards to have 25 points on 14 shots against, the presumptive number one pick and, multiple players who are clearly going to be pros as a junior, just take me through what you think it says about where she is as a player and what her ceiling is, frankly.
Well, the interesting thing is she only played 28 minutes because she was in foul trouble. And, that's the part. Two things have to happen. One, being aware of how she can't afford to get in foul trouble. And yet at the same time, you got to play really, really, really hard and really physical and use her body, because that's what she has. So that's kind of evolving, okay? And then there's got to be we have to find a way to defensively be better in the lane, our initial defense and our rebounding. And I thought we struggled with that today. So for Leah to score what she scored on a number of shots, sitting out with foul problems, the physicalness of their big guys, she showed a lot of different ways to score. Mm-hmm. And whatever they're talking about for the pros or whatever for next year for the seniors, I think when she's a senior, I think there'll be a lot of people lined up and I think she's going to become a better shooter, every week, every month. I think she's had an All-American season, when you think about it. Where would we be without her, given what's happened? And she's played great in most of our big games.
Thank you.
Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by Built Bar. Built Bar, so close to my heart. I just ordered some more online over at built.com. My brownie batter, it's the go-to. I love churro. 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 But you don't just have to go to built.com in order to get it. Now, what is it? I mean, it's made with real chocolate, 17 grams of protein, 130 calories, 4 grams of net sugar. That's crazy, right? Okay, so you're going to order it? No, you don't need to order it. You can. That's what I do. But you can go to Walmart or Sam's Club now. You go to Walmart pharmacy section, you can get a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate or coconut puffs at Walmart. Oh, coconut puffs are good too. You go to Sam's Club, you can grab a 13-bar box with brownie batter and churro. And look, you can thank me later, but the real person you need to thank, Myrna. Tell them Grandma Myrna sent you. Segment 2, let's talk South Carolina. South Carolina comes up with the win. It is their first win at Connecticut in program history. Dawn Staley talked about it after she talked about the fact that in the grand scheme of things, it's not what matters most. They're looking for an SEC title. They're looking for an NCAA championship, looking to go back to back. But she said, when we beat UConn, it's usually in a season when good things happen. There are 2 reasons why it happened on Sunday afternoon. One, just what you would have expected, Aaliyah Boston. The other, something you probably never expected, Raven Johnson. So I want to talk about each in turn. Aaliyah Boston had 3 points at halftime, hadn't made a field goal. It was just a matter of time. Aaliyah Boston is the best player in college basketball, I think. I'm pretty sure. Caitlin Clark is having a ridiculous year. It's another one of these things where like fans are going to be very angry about it. For me, I love that we live in a world where both Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark exist. They're totally different. They do very different things. My vote for Player of the Year would have gone to Aaliyah Boston last year. I'm willing to entertain the conversation. And there are others who are in the mix. Angel Reese of LSU is in the mix. Maddie Siegrist is in the mix. Like, there are some great, great players. Diamond Miller is in the mix over at Maryland. But I do think it comes down to those 2. And Aaliyah Boston, her minutes are down this year. She was averaging 28.6 minutes and 11.9 field goal attempts last year. It's 25-2 and 8.7 this year. Now, she's more efficient when she's out there. No reason to think it's anything other than Dawn Staley keeping her fresh for the games that matter most. And just to that end, what did she do with her on Sunday? 38 minutes, 51 seconds. All but a minute 9 she's out there. What does she do? 16 attempts from the field. Okay. Aaliyah Boston can do this. Aaliyah Boston is capable of playing as much as she needs to play for Dawn Staley. She also, and this was critical to me, she took 3 3-point attempts. That was a season high. Now, Aaliyah Boston, between her free throw shooting and what we've seen in the past, is clearly capable. Note Dawn Staley's reaction when I asked Aaliyah Boston about the 3-point shooting. It's important. And then we just got to talk about Raven Johnson. Raven Johnson came into this one having, I don't think it's too much to say, having barely played this year. Raven Johnson had not played more than 24 minutes in any game. She hadn't cracked 20 more than twice this year. She hasn't started since the first 2 games of the season. Well, Raven Johnson went out there, played 35 minutes and 37 seconds, by far a career high, 14 points. She hadn't had double digits in points all year, 7 assists. It's kind of crazy. It's the way that South Carolina has been built, what Dawn Staley has. She has somebody at the end of her bench she can just bring on and have a big moment against UConn. Raven Johnson is not some walk-on. Raven Johnson was the number 2 overall player in the 2021 recruiting class, according to ESPN. Number 1 point guard. So you bring her in, and Dawn Staley, very much by design, uses her. And it's just remarkable. Just remarkable. So Raven Johnson, UConn, by the way, didn't defend her for much of the game. Raven Johnson was able to do whatever she wanted. The Huskies had decided, well, if Raven Johnson's going to beat us, then she's going to beat us. She did. Raven Johnson beat him. So let's hear what she has to say. Dawn Staley, that is. Aaliyah Boston, that is. Really interesting, new, important part of South Carolina. I'm Howard Megdal, and this is Locked On Women's Basketball.
Howard, and then we'll go to Emily.
Hi, Aaliyah. In terms of your three-point shot, it seems like there's more comfort there than ever. Can you just take me through how often Dawn encourages you to shoot it and where you think the development of that three-pointer is in your game?
Yeah, Coach definitely encourages me to shoot it. Sometimes she probably wants me to shoot a little bit more than I actually do. I think just it's developed over time, just the confidence. And I think today, I shot 3, which that impressed me myself, but she definitely encourages me to do it.
Emily, go ahead. Howard starts off, then Jeremiah.
Hi, Coach. Good to see you. In terms of Raven's game, how much of the amount that she played had to do with what UConn was doing or not doing in terms of defending her? How much of that was seeing, because this is obviously her season high in points, season high in shots, how much of that was a reaction to what you were seeing in game to keep her in as long as you did?
It was all in game. Raven, we know is going to push tempo. Raven, we know is going to pick the ball up. I thought she did a phenomenal job on Mule in disrupting. Like, she wasn't a primary point guard. We wanted somebody else to initiate their offense, just as some sort of disruption. And then when we got in the half court, she didn't let her touch the ball without her actually feeling her. And then when Mule doesn't have it, that's the country's leader in assists. She can't really make people better if she doesn't really have the ball. And we were hoping by the time the fourth quarter came around that she was just too tired to do some other stuff. She wasn't, but that was our whole objective. And we had to have her on the floor because she was that impactful defensively and offensively.
Thank you.
Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks gives you the opportunity to test your own knowledge against yourself. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they go on to score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. It's not competing against other people. It's you versus the projection. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport you watch, everything from women's college basketball to the WNBA to National Women's Soccer League, NBA, NFL, MLB, you name it. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. So download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. We've got an offer for you. 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit 100, Prize Picks gives you 100. 50, they give you 50. Use code Locked On, LOCKEDON, for that instant deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. So what does it all mean? South Carolina with a big win, maintain an undefeated record. We'll learn more about them when they play LSU this weekend. But given what I've seen of LSU, I think South Carolina is the team to beat in the SEC. I think South Carolina matches up very well. I am very curious what Angel Reese does against that front line. I think we'll learn a lot about Angel the way we've learned a lot about Aaliyah Edwards based on what happened on Sunday. But UConn did this shooting 2 for 6 from 3. Both matter. Only 2 made threes. Only 6 attempts. Carolina is imminent to return. Might return as soon as Wednesday night against Marquette. Azzi Fudd, an elite shooter, maybe the elite shooter in the game. other than Caitlin Clark, and maybe not even other than, coming back soon. So hear from Gino Auriemma. Gino doesn't BS you. If his team isn't there, if his team isn't ready, if his team isn't capable, he'll tell you. But if they are, he will also tell you. I hear this. But I think Indiana is as good as any team in the country. But Gino Auriemma seems to think it can come down to UConn and South Carolina. And I think it would be silly not to believe that at this point. UConn and South Carolina, the two teams that decided the championship last year, we'll see where the brackets fall. But UConn, South Carolina may be the ones to do it this year as well. Thank you for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen today. Now make your second listen Game to Game NBA. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. Until tomorrow, I'm Howard Megdal. Tomorrow we'll be joined by the great Brooke Wyckoff, Coach of the Year candidate with Florida State. Here's Gino Auriemma, who's won a few of those himself. We'll be seeing you tomorrow.
Gino, overall, though, are you encouraged by this performance, and should your players be, would you say?
I asked them that. I said, do you feel like you're half full or half empty? What do you think? And one guess who said, it's empty, it sucks, we lost. So I acknowledge that, yes, it does. And it's supposed to feel that way. But the way the game was played and the way we responded and the way we controlled the tempo of the game for long, long stretches, and, you know, how we were really, really good for long stretches and how we were really bad for long stretches. And yet we didn't just, you know, go hide and let it become 15, 20, you know, and feel sorry for ourselves. So in that respect, they have a lot to feel good about once they get past what it feels like to lose. But I told them, I said, I feel better at 2 o'clock, well, 3 o'clock today than I did at 12 o'clock. Because at 12 o'clock, I really didn't know, you know, how we would respond. I mean, I knew we would play hard because we've been playing hard all year long. I knew we would compete like hell. But I didn't know, like, who was going to make a big play, who was going to get a big rebound, who's going to make a big shot, you know, like things like that. And I know more now than I did at noon, and I feel better about my team. Not that I didn't feel bad about them, better about them before. I felt great about my team before. But I feel really good about them right now.